Hi, in this session we'll go through what if analysis. Now, what if analysis is a type of sensitivity analysis wherein we are looking at changes to a dependent variable when an independent variable is changed. Now, by dependent variables over here in Excel, I mean variables or cells which consist of a formula. And by independent or input variables, I mean cells which are being used in those formulas. So, let's take an example over here. Now there's this person ABC who's planning to buy a car. The purchase price of the car is $80,000. The down payment which he is right now thinking of is somewhere around 20%. Now the loan term would be 48 months. That's 4 years. So basically the installments will be monthly and the interest rate which he's being charged is around 5%. Now, loan amount, monthly payments, and total interest. These are all four variables whose values will be dependent on these variables. So let's just look at the formulas first. So in case of loan amount, we have the formula of B2 into 1 minus B3. So basically, if the person decides to pay 20% as down payment, the rest of it would be the loan amount. Now, monthly payments would be dependent on total payments divided by the loan term or the number of months over here. Now, total payments will be the sum of loan amount, which the person will definitely have to return. With that, the person will also have to return the interest rate. The total interest is calculated by interest rate over here and the loan amount. So basically, if we multiply the interest rate with the loan amount, we will get the total interest. So these are the four dependent variables and these are the four independent or input variables. Now we'll first look at goal seek. Goal seeking is used when we have one value in mind for a particular dependent variable and we want to change the value of an input variable to achieve that value. So let's see how this works. For using what if analysis, you need to go to the data toolbar and you've got what if analysis over here. So let me just copy and paste this entire table over here so that when we make changes to this table, you can actually compare it over here. Okay. Now at the moment, if this individual goes ahead and buys this car worth $80,000 and pays a down payment of 20% with loan term of 48 months and interest rate of 5%, the loan amount would be of $64,000. Monthly payments which he'll have to bear for 48 months is around $1,400. The total payments which at the end of 4 years or 48 months he'll end up paying around $67,200 and the interest rate would be around $3,200. So now let's say this person is not comfortable with a $1,400 a month payment and wants to reduce it to $1,200 and he's comfortable with the purchase price, he's comfortable with the loan term and interest rate, just that he's willing to change the down payment to get this payment down to $1,200 from $1,400. So for that, we'll go to what if analysis, we'll click on goal seek. Now we need to set the value monthly payments to $1,200 and by changing cell down payment, as you click on OK, so Excel gives you a status that okay, goal seeking has found a solution. So target value was $1,200, so they've found a solution for $1,200. When you click on OK, so now you can see that the down payment has changed to 31%. Now in order to have a monthly payment of $1,200 instead of $1,400, the person will end up paying a down payment of 31% as compared to a 20% which he was initially paying. Now the obvious disadvantage of goal seek is that we can just change one input variable. So for getting a monthly installment of $1,200, we might as well have wanted to change the loan term also, or maybe the interest rate as well, so that person can go out and try for a better deal. So now let's move on to other type of what if analysis. So let's discuss the scenario manager. Now, as the name suggests, Scenario Manager allows you to create different scenarios so that you can see the change or the impact of changing input variables over the dependent variables or the cells which consist of the formulas basically. So I'm taking the same example over here. Let me just zoom in a bit. Now what we'll do, we'll create different scenarios based on down payment. So we'll change the percentage of down payment to say 20%, 30%, 40%, and then we'll see the impact of this change over these cells. So let's go to what if analysis, click on scenario manager. So right now there is no scenario defined. To add a scenario, click on add. Always keep a name so that whenever you look at it, you know what it is going to do. DP 30% by changing cell, down payment, click on OK, 0.3, OK. Let's add another one, DP 40%. Again, the changing cell is B3, OK, zero point 0.4. Let's add another one, DP 10%. Changing cells B3, zero point 0.1, OK. Now you can select any of them by just clicking on them. So let's see if we select DP 30% and click on show, how these values will change. So originally at 20%, the loan amount was $64,000, but now it's just left to $56,000 because the person is paying more right at the start. Similarly, comparing the monthly payments, earlier it was $1,400, now it's just left to $1,225 and so on. Let's see on DP10. Now, when we keep it at 10%, the loan amount will increase because the person is contributing less at the start, and that just increases everything. So the loan amount increases, the monthly payments increase, and so do the total payments and total interest. Now let's close this. Now over here, what we have done is we've just changed the values of one variable, but using a scenario manager, we can change values of all these independent or input variables at the same time and then see the impact on the dependent values. So let me just copy the original ones first. Control C, Control V. Right. So now let's again go to what if analysis, scenario manager. Let's delete these scenarios. Let's add new SC1 by changing cells, all of them. So you can select all of them together. Click on OK. Now Excel will prompt you to enter values for each of them. So let's say I'm comfortable with the purchase price. I want to change the down payment. I want to reduce the loan term, and I'm comfortable with my interest rate. So this is scenario 1. Looking at scenario 2, SC2. Again, I'm changing all these variables. Click on OK. Let's say I want to change all the numbers now. Click on OK. So now I've got two scenarios, and again you can select either of them by just clicking on them. And when you click on show, so over here in the first scenario, the purchase price was the same. You've changed the down payment and you've changed the loan term. The interest rate also remains the same. So you can then compare the values with the original table. So the loan amount is just $56,000 as compared to $64,000 earlier. But there's an increase in the number of monthly payments, and that is because you've reduced the loan term. Now let's click on scenario 2. Click on show. Now for scenario 2, you've changed all these variables. So you've got the purchase price as $70,000. You've got down payments as 10%. Loan term has been increased from 48 months to 60 months. Then the interest rate has also increased from 5 to 10%. Basically, these two are not comparable, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how you can go about changing the variables. Now, one of the obvious disadvantages of Scenario Manager is that you cannot compare these values together. So, if I want to have, let's just delete them. So let's just say if I want to have different values over here of my input variables, and then I want to compare the impact of these changes over the dependent variables. So that is what a scenario manager sort of lacks. But now we'll discuss data tables within which we'll discuss one variable and two variable, and they help in this comparison of changes to an input variable to an extent. So let's just see how this also works. So I'll again copy the original data. So for this we'll use data tables. Now a data table is basically a range of cells which will give us values of formula driven cells or the dependent variables when values in input cells are changed. Now within data tables also there are two options. One is one variable data table and the other one is two variable data table. A one variable data table will give different values of dependent cells corresponding to different values of one input variable only. So you can change one input variable only, just that you can have the different combinations so that you can compare the changes easily. So let's see how this works. Let's say we want to change the interest rate. So I've got these different interest rates now. Now, one of the prerequisites of uh, using a data table is that you need to put these values from the original table as a formula. So now let's just create a table. And let me just change the format to dollars. Okay, so now all I need to do is I need to select this data set. I need to go to data, what if analysis, data table. Now you've got these two different values, row input cell and column input cell. Now because I'm passing the values of these different interest rates in a column, I will select this and I will go to the original table where the interest rate was present, and I can leave this as blank. Now click on OK. So as you can see now, there is no change to the loan amount, and that is because you do not change the down payment at all. There is a change in monthly payments, total payments and total interest though, and that is all because of the changes in interest rate. So the changes in interest rate are then passed on to the monthly payments and total payments. So using these different values of interest rates, I can compare where my monthly payments are less or my total payments are less, and then make a decision which would suit me. Now let's look at one more where we'll use the row input cell. So let me have these values here. I can then have this. Let's say I want to change the down payment. So let's just create a table. So now I'll now I'll select this. I'll go to data, what if analysis, data table. Now I'm passing the different down payment percentages in rows. So and I can leave my column input cells as empty. So now you can see by changing your down payment from 20 to 10%, 30, 40 or 50, how the loan payment, monthly payment, total payments or total interest will change. Now let's move on to the scenario manager where we use two variable data table. So over here also I'm using the same example. I'll just zoom in a bit. Now the obvious advantage of a two variable data table over a one variable data table is that we can see the impact or the changes of two independent variables. But the disadvantage is that we can just see the impact of those changes or those combinations on just one dependent variable. So let's see how this works. Let's just copy these values. So let's have got these different interest rates and I've got these different down payments. And let's say I want to study the impact of changes in interest rates and down payments on monthly payments. So this is a prerequisite now. You need to make this value formula driven. Okay. So now we select this. We go to data. What if analysis, data table. Now in the row input cell, we are passing on down payment. In the column input cell, we are passing on interest rates. So now you can compare these different combinations. So for 10% down payment and 5% interest rate, the monthly installment will increase to $1,575, whereas it was $1,400 earlier. Uh, Even if we keep the down payment at 20%, now we can see the impact of changes in interest rates on these monthly installments. Now that we've discussed the different options in what if analysis, we have some exercises at the end of this video. So please do that. And in the next session, we'll be discussing solver. Thank you.